So, what was your first interaction with the judge?
I knew him before because my sister worked for the Commonwealth Attorney for a really long time. Like, I grew up in his office and stuff. So whenever he got elected to be Commonwealth Attorney, and we moved over into City Hall, and then Kevin was the Assistant Commonwealth Attorney, and his office was like across the road from it. And I was kind of like informal intern in there, like learning office management and stuff. And I went over to his office to learn how to take a deposition. And that was the first interaction that I had with him as far as the sex and stuff goes.
What happened?
I gave him oral with my shirt pulled down, and whenever we were done, he threw money in my face, told me to clean myself up, and reminded me that I knew better than to tell my sister.
Crazy. So this is about Mickey Stines and then that goddamn Kevin Mullins. That goddamn Kevin Mullins was running a pay-to-play, a little brothel thing. Oh, you want to get out of jail? You want some, you want me to ease up on you? You want me to make sure you don't have that ankle monitor? Just go ahead and give me a little dick sucking, and I'll go ahead and take off, 3 months off your sentence. I'll take that ankle monitor off your leg. This is Tia Adams, and this is the Brian Enton Investigates. You heard what she just said. When she was younger, and I don't know how young, because he wasn't just a judge, he was an assistant Commonwealth, so he was a judge for 10 fucking years. So this, has been going on for goddamn years. And she's going to say later on, was like, we had some fun, we were like partying and doing drugs and shit, so it wasn't like she was being, it wasn't forcible rape. But he definitely abused his power. So that's official misconduct, right? If you're going to charge people, that would be official misconduct. That would be abuse of power. So she said she gave him oral. She had her shirt off. Let's hear that again.
I gave him oral with my shirt pulled down, and whenever we were done, he threw money in my face, told me to clean myself up.
So, yeah, oral with the shirt pulled down, and then here's some fucking money, bitch. Now go clean yourself up. And don't you fucking tell your sister.
And reminded me that I knew better than to tell my sister.
And what was his job at that time?
Assistant Commonwealth Attorney. And we would do sex parties and perform shows.
So he's been doing this shit forever.
For money. Things like that.
Where were the parties?
Various places. There are different cabins. There's an apartment down like toward Thornton that they would use that's got like mirrored ceilings and a bidet and a sex swing and all the things.
Did you feel like you could say no?
No. No, and they would make sure to make you feel as small and degraded and belittled as possible to take your power away,
What sort of things would they do?
But also, like, I have to say, like, we were having fun, too. Like, we were doing drugs, we was doing coke, doing a lot of cocaine, partying, like, it wasn't like they were just, like, they weren't raping, like, physically, like, what people think about when they hear the word rape. It was consensual.
So that's a benefit, right? Hey, look, yeah, Kevin Mullins was abusing his power, but he was giving us a bunch of cocaine, there was so much cocaine. Oh, man, that Kevin Mullins. Oh, and the cocaine parties that we used to have. Oh, man, good old Kevin Mullins and all the fucking cocaine and all the goddamn... What the fuck? Like, what the fuck?
But it was the thing that we were so young, and then they used it against us and to destroy our lives later.
How so?
With the legal system. And CPS. Systematically removing your whole life, piece by piece.
Did they ever tell you that you couldn't say anything?
Yeah. That was just a given, And, like, who would believe it anyway, because the whole town's doing it, Nobody cares. They're all swingers. It's all a big party to them. It was just, like, so normal.
Did you ever have sex with him after he became judge?
Yeah.
When he was the judge?
Yes. I've had sex with him in the chambers. I've had sex with him upstairs.
You had sex in the chambers?
Yes.
How did that...
It was not the room that's on film. That's on that, where that camera is, where the murder and stuff happened. That's not the room that was always the chambers. I don't know, like, I think it might be behind that where it was. But there was like a different desk and everything in there. That's not the same room.
And how did that happen?
What?
The sex in the chambers.
We would just like, sometimes we would just go over there and hang out, and he'd be like, just hang out. Let me go sit on the bench for a while. I'll be in a minute. You know, and everybody would come back there and smoke and stuff after. The girls who, they would bring them up from the jail for the house arrest people and stuff. They would have sex all over the place with them too.
From the jail?
Yeah.
Were you ever there when that happened?
Yeah.
You saw it?
Yeah. Yeah, I knew the girls personally. Yeah. They were my friends and family. They were the people that we lived with on the streets.
So they would
the other ones that they've done the same thing to, and taken their kids and slammed them and put them with all these big crazy charges.
So, I mean, you're saying it like it's so normal, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So the judge would have sex with inmates from the jail?
Yes.
And you saw it?
Yes. I was part of it. I was one of them. Not just from being in jail, like coming in off the street and seeing them. Yeah.
How did they keep it a secret?
It wasn't a secret. It wasn't a secret.
Why did you feel like you had to have sex with the judge?
Because he's the one with the power. He holds my entire life in his hands. He's the one that makes the decisions over whether I get to keep my children or not. He's the one that makes the decisions on whether I go to jail or whether I get they would drug test me all the time, and I would pass it, and social services would come in and say, like, no, she failed it, and I would have to make them lab it every time because I wasn't failing it. That was the one good thing that Kevin did for me when my twins, we fought for them for months. Finally got them back in the home. Social services was so harassing and so bad that he called her out in court. He said, that's enough. He said, you have taken this too far, and I'm reporting you to Frankfurt. And he called the ombudsman, contacted me and to supposedly open an investigation against the child services here. And I never heard nothing about it.
Did the judge ever say, you have to do this, or if you do this...
You come see me 3 times and we'll take care of this. If it's a ticket or something, or you get some minor charge, some petty charge. Come visit me a few times, we'll take care of it.
You would say that?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
And how many women do you think were also doing this?
Total over the years, hundreds. Yeah. And not just for the women who had charges. Like if your man or somebody, your child is in there, then you could go see him for that too.
And everybody knew this was going on?
Yes. Yes.
So what did you think when the sheriff killed the judge? When
My
you found
heart
out?
just exploded in relief. I thought finally somebody is going to see this, because now they can't look away. They have to look. They have to see what's happening here. And then it's been all this time and still not seeing anything happening, Nobody's saying anything. People have been making videos and coming out with their story for a long time, but they're being retaliated against to the point that they're leaving this. They've had to pack up and leave homes that they own here and leave the state and go rent somewhere else because they've ran them out of town.
Do you feel nervous talking about this? Have you been retaliated against?
I'm a little bit nervous, but I also know that God's got this, and that our kids, I don't want our kids to have to grow up in this town like it has been for us. Because once they get their hooks in you, they never let you go. You don't get to live. You don't get to choose your life. You don't choose your own path. They do that for you.
Has anyone tried to intimidate you into not talking?
Comments on Facebook, and yes, a lot of victim blaming, shaming, stuff like that, petty stuff. But then also we had the message from the jailer's sister that said that they started it, she's going to finish it. And she's on Facebook slandering Liz, saying she went through hours of footage to catch a freeze frame of her eye glitching in the middle of a blink or something, and put it on there on Facebook. Look.
So, fantastic interview. Brian Enton is getting, some good information. I'm not for sure if that,
See why
Taya
thousands are making the
Adams or
switch to
whatever.
the heavy-duty toenail clippers.
I used to hide
I'm not sure if Taya Adams is one of the people that filed the lawsuits. So here's a motions hearing. Now, this is actually kind of crazy.
Now, I will say this. I do agree that the Commonwealth can, their legal advice to the grand jury and the grand jury deliberations do not have to be transcribed. But whatever was said to the grand jury, it cued them to ask for or form their basis for asking for the medical records, Judge. I think that should have been recorded, so we would have that available. And you know, and I think 5.6 requires it, and the remedy is that can form shall form a motion to dismiss, Your Honor. I can address the other area, Judge.
Motion to dismiss. I mean, the balls on this guy. The lawyer of Mickey Stines, the balls on this guy. The whole point of a grand jury indictment is to say that there was probable cause. Was there a crime? Could there possibly have been a crime? It's possible that a crime could have been committed. It's both a sword and a shield. It's to investigate. Sometimes they have preliminary hearings which establish probable cause. You got to have some judicial type of hearing that establishes probable cause. You just have to. Fifth Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, all that. Okay, so he gets the grand jury indictment, and he went ahead and postponed this thing because he's kind of questioning, well, maybe it's his sanity, Your Honor. So he signs it up on the list on the psychiatric stuff. So he was smart, this lawyer, to not get the jury trial immediately because that's when tempers are hot. That's when people are really pissed off. This is after a year or so, almost a year has gone by. And then because he's got to get a psychiatric exam, that's going to take 2 fucking years. 2 fucking years for a psychiatric exam. 2 fucking years. So that means we're going to have to wait another year and a half before he gets, determined whether he's crazy or not. And then, right now, this motions hearing, he's trying to say that, well, there's a grand jury hearing, and we didn't get any of the documentation. They didn't give us the grand jury testimony. And it's kind of like the grand jury is secretive. It's behind closed doors. The prosecutor essentially gets to lead the thing. The grand jury itself could do a presentment in lieu of a indictment. So the grand jury, once a grand jury is impaneled, the whole system should be nervous because the grand jury could be a runaway grand jury, and they could say, you know what? Not only do we want to go ahead and indict Mickey Stines, but we want to indict this fucking guy and this fucking lady and this fucking person. No, we want to investigate the whole goddamn thing. We want to get to the bottom of things. So the grand jury, if you know anything about the history of the grand jury, I'll just mention this. It can be corrupt, but at the very least, it's more corrupting to just have one prosecutor, right? A cop arrests somebody and now the prosecutor and the judge just fucks that person over. That's more corrupt. And so what a grand jury does is it puts an extra check on the judicial branch. You got to get 12 people from the community to okay that this could go to a jury trial. You got to put your stamp of approval on it. So at the bare minimum, it's a check on prosecutorial power. But he got the fucking indictment. They got 12 people. They got 12 people together. They indicted Mickey Stines, and now the guy's trying to say he's through some procedural technicality. But because he's a lawyer, we're going to entertain this shit. We're going to have a motions hearing, and we're going to entertain this insane thing. Ultimately, I think that it's going to have to go to a jury because we're going to have to adjudicate the facts and the fucking law. And what are we going to adjudicate? Well, did he have extreme emotional disturbance? And does a jury think that's okay? Was it to a level, was the extreme emotional disturbance up to a level that made it either A, excusable, or B, justified? If it was either justified or excusable, then he could get exonerated. But this is going to go to a jury trial, and frankly, I would want, if I was the state or the judges or the prosecutors, hurry up and get this to a jury trial. Hurry up and get it to a jury trial. Allow both sides to give the most robust case that they can give, calling whatever witnesses, showing whatever documents, whatever videos. And then once they're done with all the documents and evidence and videos, and both sides are done and cross-examining each other's witnesses, then it goes to a jury, and the jury goes and deliberates, and they have to be unanimous. All 12 have to say not guilty or guilty. So if I was the Commonwealth, I would push for this thing to get to a jury trial as soon as possible.
And the second area, Judge, I really, in candor, I don't. That may need an evidentiary hearing. It may not. I mean, I'm not sure. Well, I'll leave that to the Commonwealth as to the response to that. But in terms of the other portion,
You're talking about the statements made during the actual grand jury presentation?
yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
As to the second,
Ask that the court to dismiss the motion, to deny the motion to dismiss the indictment as it's wholly without merit. Your Honor, here, counsel is correct in citing Rule 5.06 that we could have unilaterally issued a grand jury subpoena to obtain these mental health records. That is a power that the Commonwealth does have. However, in taking an extra step in the interest of transparency, as the grand jury is an independent investigative body, and to ensure that there was no argument that we were usurping our grand jury subpoena power, we appeared before the grand jury on October 17th of 2024 without a witness, specifically to ask for these mental health records from two different providers for the defendant.
about to answer some.
So the grand jury gets to investigate. The grand jury gets to subpoena and figure out if they're going to do an indictment. And the genius of the grand jury and the jury trial is that you need
There's
two.
one simple warm water
need
trick
two-
that anyone can use to
you need
improve
12
eyesight almost overnight.
people from the
Thousands of
community
people-
to indict, and then you need 12 people to convict. So you need at least 24 members of the community to convict you.
My point is this: if you put that into context,
That's what protects our freedoms. That's what protects our rights. And that's been
ultimately, Judge,
a right
evidence will show
in
you
England
that this
since
grand jury was misled. I mean, the
1166.
statement, be honest with you, the statement alone, rendering opinion on saying it, is completely, in terms of, I get you don't have to be an expert judge, but if you say it, you can't mislead. And then, so I'm not asking the court to look at whether things should be admissible or not. That, I'm not at all. My point is that the grand jury is an investigative body, and they don't get to dictate what they hear if the grand jury's asking for additional stuff. So in other words, if they ask a question and it's germane, I'm not talking about relevance, but if it's germane, it's their grand jury. It's not the common attorney's grand jury. They're the investigative body. And so the reason I cited to the things that I thought should have came in is that it contrasts with other things that I think they ask.
Bond, 50,000 cash of property. If the court wants to hear just a little bit about what we would put on, again, Mr. Stines is a member of this community for his entire life, born and raised here. He has a great deal of family support through all of this, as the court can see. He has a wife and daughter that he can still go home to today. He was a member of law enforcement for basically his entire adult life, up until the point of his arrest. He's a respected member of law enforcement, a respected member of the community, and frankly, Judge, everything we've learned about him since then corroborates that. And I would have testimony to that effect.
She's high, we need to call CPS to come take her kids. And that's how it happens. They'll call CPS on you, and then they keep extending your sentence. How is that? Do you know what happened with my case? We had the fight. They charged us with unlawful imprisonment in a holding cell beside the booking desk. They charged us with unlawful imprisonment, which is kidnapping. That's the charge that stuck. And they told me I had 7.5 years total. I get to prison and get my timesheet. I had 12.5 years. So I went and sent legal aid. They said once the final judgment is filed, there's nothing else that you can do. It's final. So I did my time. I made parole upon completion. I did all the programs and stuff that I was eligible to do. And when I got out, they tried to make me to go to drug court. They tried to add drug court onto my sentence. And I threw a fit. I said, no, this is not right. And this was not part of the plea deal. And y'all already screwed me and gave me 5 extra years anyway. We're not doing this. My parole officer went back in his office, and he came back out and said, well, they agreed that if you would do aftercare for 6 months, that you don't have to go to drug court. So I did their aftercare. I did their MRT classes, anger management, parenting, you name it, I did it. I served out. I went to go get my gold seal. I was so excited and so proud that I accomplished it and that I was done. I finished it, you know. Like, I've worked so hard my whole life just to get out from under this place. Finished it. I go in to get my gold seal, my certificate, and he says, the state says they're not going to release you because of your child support until it's paid in full. That just destroyed me. That crushed me. And I still didn't know, like, what Cool had said for a while after that. Like, that's a more recent supplies, feminine products, pops, stuff like that, which is supposed to be a one-man cell. At some points, there's 2 or 3 people in there, but there was 2 men that was in that cell that had gotten moved, so that way Ben Fields could be moved into that cell. He got a brand new bed. He got a brand new flat screen TV, automatic trustee. He had his own pack of cigarettes in the break room, Marlboro Red Shorts. It just wasn't fair. You know what I mean? It just showed the system wasn't how it should be.
Did you ever see anyone having sex?
I never seen anybody having sex, but I had heard stories. One of the female guards specifically was telling me that one of the places she takes male inmates was the storage room, which used to be a stairwell in front of the medication room. It's literally directly across. You can't get in there without a key, and that's where they take them. A lot of times they get took up into the courthouse, especially after hours late at night. Nobody's at work, nobody's up there, so it's all empty. It's all empty space.
How common was that?
More common than you would want to believe in the court system. Even down to some of my daily supervisors. 30 girls sign themselves out and take them on home if sick.
The supervisors would take the inmates home for the night?
Yes. When there's policy, once the inmate leaves that jail space, you're not supposed to be in contact with them for 6 months. So it's one of those things, you're taking them, and then the girls go back and tell them the stories, I slept with this person when he took me home. You know, it's sick.
What did you think when you were working there?
That it was a brothel. It is all just it's all a brothel. Between all the employees sleeping with each other and sleeping with the inmates that come in. And a lot of them, they are repeat offenders. A lot of them are permanent stayers. It's nasty. It's sickening. I've even had one of my personal supervisors go way over the limits of even trying to get my family to force me to be in a relationship with them while I was previously already in a relationship. And it's like, sir, like, this is supposed to be you're a work friend, you know what I mean? It's not a good environment.
What would the inmates get in return for having sex with, the leadership?
For inmates, the smallest things, unless you're going with one of the overheads. If they're sleeping with the guard, it's mostly for things like cigarettes, time out of the cell, pops, commissary, things like that.